Hello and welcome. Tonight, INEC stakeholders push for diaspora voting as National Assembly conducts a public hearing on electoral reforms. And Governor Sanwo-Olu and Uzodinma support constitutional recognition for traditional rulers. Also tonight, ASU commences 2-week nationwide warning strike as federal government enforces no work, no pay policy. And hostages reunited with families as world leaders finalize Gaza ceasefire agreement.
NNPCL raises petrol price to 992 naira in Lagos, 955 naira in Abuja amid scarcity of gas in the country.
On sports news tonight, Coach Eric Che vows Super Eagles will give their all in the final 2026 World Cup qualifier clash against Benin Republic.
And from the nation's capital, National Orientation Agency urges citizens to join the fight against insurgency.
And we begin with developments from the National Assembly, where the Independent National Electoral Commission and other stakeholders are intensifying advocacy for early voting and diaspora voting as key amendments to be included in the new Electoral Act ahead of the 2027 general elections. These positions were presented during the National Public Hearing on the Electoral Act organized by the National Assembly Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in Abuja. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Mozeke, reports.
Lawmakers, heads of civil society organizations, representatives of service chiefs, scores of stakeholders, among others, converge for a one-day public hearing on a bill to amend the 2022 Electoral Act. The President of the Senate, as well as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who were represented, vowed to ensure transparency and accountability.
It is an act of renewal, an affirmation that our democracy must continue to evolve with the times. The law we make today must correct the weakness of yesterday and prepare the ground for the victories of tomorrow.
Therefore, these reforms respond to the national demand that the ballot box be sacred, that all votes count, and that disputes are resolved swiftly and fairly.
Some of the key highlights of the bill include voting by inmates, early and diaspora voting, inclusion of the national identification number as a requirement in the voters' registration, non-compulsory use of permanent voters card, compulsory electronic transmission of results. Elections into the office of the president and the governor of a state shall be held not later than 185 days before the expiration of the term of office of the last holder of the office. The advocacy for early voting is again intensified by the Independent National Electoral Commission. It's a no-holds-barred session as international partners and the civil society weighed in with the expectations for credibility in the nation's electoral process.
The expectations is that before the end of this year, 2025, there will be a new Electoral Act, and we certainly are hoping that this will be signed into law by the President, and we certainly hope very, very much, and INEC, the expectations are exceedingly very high, that INEC will implement the Electoral Act in a way that responds to citizens' demands for credible elections in 2027.
As your partner, the UK stands ready to walk this journey with Nigeria. And this process is a demonstration of collaboration of the legislature, of INEC, of political parties, civil society, the media, citizens, all walking in the same direction.
Appointed representative, the aides of ministers, governors, even of presidents, cannot enjoy an unnecessary level of suffrage over the selection of the candidates or party. If we are to sustain this democracy that we have agreed and we are struggling with, it behooves us to be sure that we're not cleverly excluding those who originally own the mandate.
It's a long list of contributions, as the committee is expected to report back to both chambers of the National Assembly for further legislative debate. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And still on governance and constitutional reforms, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his Imo State counterpart Hope Uzodinma have both voiced their support for granting constitutional recognition to the roles of traditional rulers. They made these remarks at the meeting of the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria, held in Lagos and well attended by monarchs from across the country. Our correspondent Chris Elems reports.
The caliber of guests arriving this hall tells of its significance. Governors, prominent traditional rulers and other stakeholders congregate for this meeting courtesy the National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria. In his opening remark, the co-chair of the council and Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Sa'ad Abubakar, sues for greater understanding between governors and the traditional rulers.
This council will continue to work to the best of its ability across the globe, across the country, and we expect our governors to always listen to us as they do. My final remarks is for all of us to love this country because we have no other country but this country.
In his remark, Governor Sanwo-Olu says effective governance must be inclusive.
It means giving voice to those who represent the conscience of its people. We also need to address the challenges that traditional institutions often find themselves in a bit of gray areas. Respected but not officially empowered. They hold influence yet lack clarity defined roles in our constitution.
Speaking on the theme of the meeting, the traditional institution, the imperative of its inclusion in effective and efficient governance in Nigeria, Governor Hope Uzodinma advocates constitutional backings to the roles of traditional leadership.
The absence of a constitutional rule is a gap that ought to be filled. It is a failure on our part that we have not updated our laws in line with our realities. That is why I believe the time has come to make this right. Not necessarily by creating a new rule, but even by giving legal status to what already exists, to what you are already doing. If only that can be done, history will remember us.
As far as the traditional rulers are concerned, they are always ready for service.
We will continue to support your executive powers, but please, and please, don't relegate us according to the constitution that we are under the local government chairman.
Give us the opportunity, send us the message, let us mediate for them. And that is our purpose. We are not challenging the authority of executive. We don't want to run the government in parallel with them. Assigned responsibility to us.
The meeting continues with further deliberation on how well the institution can play its role effectively and efficiently for the growth and development of the nation. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
And education takes the spotlight next as the total and comprehensive 2-week warning strike declared by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has taken effect in several universities across the country. Down south in Ogun State, Nigeria's southwest region, members of ASU of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, joined their counterparts nationwide to commence their 2-week warning strike. Lecturers stayed away from classrooms, even as students appealed to both the union and the federal government to resolve the impasse amicably in the interests of their academic progress. In the southwest, in Lagos State, Nigeria's commercial hub, efforts to reach union members at the University of Lagos for confirmation of compliance were unsuccessful. However, sources indicate that lecturers at the university have joined the strike in solidarity with their colleagues across the country. The University of Lagos is, however, currently not in session. And from the northern part of the country, academic activities are on a standstill in most public universities as lecturers enforced a 2-week warning strike. In some of the universities visited by our correspondents in Abuja, Katsina, Jigawa, and Kwara State, lecturers stayed away from the classrooms.
On Sunday, October 12, 2025, the national leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, declared a 2-week warning strike to press home their demands.
All branches of ASU are hereby directed to withdraw their services with effect from midnight, Monday, 13th October 2025. The warning strike shall be total, comprehensive, as we had agreed in NEC.
24 hours after the directive was given by the national leadership of ASU, academic activities are on a halt across some of the universities in northern Nigeria. At the University of Abuja, the usual traffic of students and other commuters going in and out of the campus is absent. Although security operatives did not allow us access to the premises to film, the branch chairman of ASU confirmed total compliance with the national directives. The situation is the same in some other universities in the region. At the Federal University in Dutse, Jigawa State, students are vacating their hostels owing to the ASU strike.
The strike is really affecting us so badly because it's drawing our academics back. It's not really nice. Like, I'm supposed to finish my paper this week, but will not be able to finish that. A lot of students are going back home. Even the final year students will not be able to finish their papers and graduate because it's drawing them back and it's really bad.
Academic activities are also on a halt at the University of Ilorin as lecturers down tools.
14 days was given as ultimatum for government to respond. The first 1 week, there was grave silence. There was not even any reaction from government. And just about 2 days ago, you say they're saying they're setting up committee, and then the Honorable Minister is saying they already given us a robust package. In his own view, 25% of what we have been having in the last 17 years is robust package. And we have called Nigerians, we have talked to our students to understand that this agitation, this struggle, is to the benefit of the Nigerian populace, to save the collapse or the collapsing education system.
Lecture theatres at the Umaru Musa University in Katsina State, as well as those at the Federal University of Technology, Mina, in Niger State, are devoid of any academic activities.
The problem started around 17 years, since 2017, which we have been following up. They were promising A, they will do B, they will promise C, they will do H, whatever. But now that we gave them ultimatum, and then we gave them another grace of 3 weeks first, and then ultimatum of 2 weeks, and now they did not respond positively, and now we are on 2 weeks warning strike.
ASU demands include the renegotiation and full implementation of the 2009 agreement with the federal government, provision of sustainable funding and revitalization of public universities, the resolution of outstanding earned academic allowances, payment of promotion and salary areas, among other issues.
And in part two, after the break, we get more on the ASU strike. And we see in the historic medical milestone, Professor Kingsley Kwame successfully performs the first ULIF procedure in West and Central Africa. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories now. INEC stakeholders push for diaspora voting as National Assembly conducts public hearing on electoral reforms. And Governor Sanwo-Olu and Uzodinma support constitutional recognition for traditional rulers. ASU commences 2-week nationwide warning strike as federal government enforces no work, no pay policy. And hostages reunite with families as world leaders finalize the Gaza ceasefire agreement. And still on the ASU strike, the federal government maintains that it has addressed every request presented by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Speaking on Channels Television's breakfast program, The Morning Brief, the Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, appealed to lecturers to return to the classrooms, stressing that dialogue remains the best option. Described the ongoing strike as unnecessary, insisting that the government has fulfilled its obligations and remains committed to improving the university system.
We are doing everything to avert any strike. We reached out to them multiple times on Saturday and Sunday, no response. That's the president now tested a few minutes before 5 p.m. on Sunday evening that it will get back to Senator Teddy Osho. By the time it got back to Senator Teddy Osho, they released a statement that they were going on strike. When they went on strike for 8 months or so, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was then asking, candidate Bola Ahmed Tinubu urged the chief of staff, who was the Speaker of the House, to meet with ASU then. Now, they should call off that 8-month strike. They met and they agreed that they will pay. It was agreed. The chief of staff, the current chief of staff today, led the government delegation. They agreed with ASU that they will pay 50% of that of the months that they didn't work. Immediately, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over. He paid 4.5 months, about 50% of that. And he said he only promised 50%, half of that, and he's paid. We went to the president as well.
Meanwhile, the federal government has directed all vice-chancellors and federal universities to ensure strict application of the no work, no pay policy in respect of any employee who fails to discharge his or her official duties during the period of the strike action embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. A memo personally signed by the Minister of Education addressed to all vice-chancellors said the enforcement of a no work, no pay policy has become imperative in the light of the ongoing strike action by ASU. The memo directs vice-chancellors to conduct a roll call and physical head count of all academic staff in their instructions to ensure that salary payment for the period of work stoppage is withheld from those who fail to perform their duties. The memo, however, exempts members of the Congress of Universities, Academics and National Association of Medical and Dental Academics who are not participating in the strike action. And to the courtroom now. The Lagos State government has rearraigned convicted billionaire kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwuamadike, popularly known as Evans, on fresh murder charges relating to the deaths of 2 police officers. Evans and his co-defendant, Joseph Emeka, appeared before Justice Oyedamola Ogala on a 5-count charge bordering on murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit kidnapping. The case, transferred from Justice Adenike Koka, alleges that the defendants killed the 2 policemen, Peter Nweke and Chijioke Ngozi, on August 27, 2013, around 10 p.m. at Festac Town, Lagos. Both defendants pleaded not guilty to the amended charges, and the court adjourned the matter to November 19, 2025, for hearing and issuance of witness summons. Evans has already been convicted in 2 of 5 ongoing criminal cases and is currently serving prison sentences. And turning to health now, in a groundbreaking milestone for African healthcare, Professor Kingsley Kwame has successfully performed the first Urology procedure in West and Central Africa. The minimally invasive treatment offers relief to men suffering from enlarged prostate, and a condition that affects millions of aging men worldwide. Beyond the headlines, however, lies a story of hope, innovation, and a visionary determined to bring global medical standards home. Our correspondent, Kelly Agiga, reports.
In the heart of Africa's most vibrant city, a quiet revolution in men's health is underway
especially at the prostate clinic, Lagos, where innovation meets compassion.
Good morning, my team.
Good morning. Today, renowned urologist Professor Kingsley Ekweme, a visionary surgeon and pioneer in prostate health across the continent, is prepping his team to perform the first Urolift procedure in West and Central Africa.
What you see with the telescope, you can see now.
Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH for short, affects millions of men, causing difficulty in urinating, interrupted sleep, and reduced quality of life.
And then we go. Yeah? Go.
To usher in a new era of urological care for African men, the consultant urologist heads for the theater with his team. And after about half an hour, the first Urolift procedure in the region is done and dusted. For Professor Ekweme, the Urolift system, which is widely used in Europe and the US, offers a safe and outpatient solution, as well as an alternative to traditional prostate surgery.
Over the last few months that TPC has been in existence, I see a lot of young men come to me with problems with urination. However, they don't want to accept the side effects of conventional prostate treatments for benign disease, either by resection or using laser or even a robot removal of the prostate gland. It means that it becomes important for us to look at other options that are available. And the Urolift is my preferred option for the reasons. One, there is no cut of prostate tissue removed. Secondly, you keep your erection and keep your ejaculation. And so that's a good option for such men who find it unacceptable to have retrograde ejaculation, which is the case after conventional prostate treatments, that your sperm doesn't come out and you can't father a child naturally.
From surgical theaters to patient hearts, Professor Kingsley Ekweme is making history, but there is more.
My vision for the TPC is wide-ranging. We have achieved the first robotic surgery for Nigeria, West Africa, Central Africa. And we have done nearly 50 procedures successfully without any problems. And now we have introduced the Urolift for benign prostate enlargement, which is the first in Africa. But we're not stopping there. My intention is to further take prostate cancer minimally invasive treatment further.
At a time when many patients travel abroad for advanced medical care, Professor Kingsley Ekweme is helping reverse the trend by bringing world-class urological innovation directly to the continent. Kelly Agiga, Channels Television News.
Well, let's go over to our Abuja studios now, where Gloria Musica is standing by with more stories. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ladi. The Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Mr. Larry Issa Onilu, has emphasized the importance of active citizen participation in the fight against insurgency. While speaking in Abuja at the agency's monthly joint security press briefing, Mr. Issa Onilu noted that in spite of the decline in insurgent attacks, there is a need to sustain a holistic and coordinated approach to tackling the menace. He also urged citizens to report suspicious activities and refrain from spreading unverified information that could undermine national security efforts.
It's the monthly joint security press briefing
as spokespersons of security agencies converged on the headquarters of the National Orientation Agency in Abuja. The briefing begins with the highlights of the successes recorded by the nation's security agencies in the last 1 month.
The Nigerian Army conducted 196 operations across various geopolitical zones, targeting terrorists, insurgents, bandits, kidnappers, and violent extremists. It neutralized members of ISWAP/JAS fighters, foiled ambushes, and recovered rifles, explosives, and military equipment. The Army rescued 76 kidnapped victims during the period in Katsina and received the surrender of 30 terrorists, including women and children in Borno.
The need for a holistic approach to the fight against insurgency is again brought to the front burner.
Report suspicious movement, illegal activities, and substandard product via official hotlines and digital platforms managed by the NDLEA, NAFDAC, Nigeria Police, and other agencies. Avoid spreading unverified information on social media, especially in relation to ongoing security operations or alleged attacks. False information fuels panic and undermines public trust.
The joint security press briefing, according to the National Orientation Agency, reflects the government's sustained commitment to national safety, institutional integrity, and inclusive governance. Still ahead on the news at 10, NNPCL increases petrol price to 992 naira in Lagos and 955 naira in Abuja amid nationwide gas shortage. That's in business news. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. From security to infrastructure development, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is pledging that no judge in the FCT will be living in a rented apartment by the end of President Bola Tinubu's first tenure. The minister made the pledge during the flag-off ceremony for the design and construction of residences for the heads of courts in Abuja. He emphasized the administration's commitment to enhancing the welfare and working conditions of judicial officers. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
The Federal Capital Territory Administration has flagged up the design and construction of official residences for heads of courts in the FCT, including President of the Court of Appeal and the Chief Judges of the Federal and FCT High Courts. The FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is joined by the Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, heads of courts and officials of the FCDA. The project aims to provide decent and secure homes for heads of courts, a move designed to strengthen judicial independence and improve welfare.
This aims to address the depth of accommodation confronting the judiciary, which is impeding optimal performance of the third arm of government, with specific reference to the heads of courts who are at the helm of affairs of the administration of justice in Nigeria.
In their remarks, the justices commended the initiative as a step toward enhancing the dignity of the judiciary.
The initiative is therefore not merely architectural. It is a strategic affirmation of the welfare, security, and independence of judicial officers, elements to a credible and efficient judiciary.
These residences will serve as befitting abode for the officers who have spent long years of service to their motherland, offering relief to them while in service and upon retirement.
The FCT Minister makes an announcement about the approval from President Bola Tinubu for every judge to get their official residences by the end of his first tenure.
What Mr. President has done for FCT, before the first tenure of Mr. President ends, no judge of the FCT will be living in a rented quarter. This project must be completed in 12 months' time and handed over to you.
The project is a delight to the Minister of Justice, stating that it will promote judicial independence and reduce corruption temptations.
The provision of secure and befitting accommodation for heads of cost will enhance operational independence, personal security, and institutional dignity, thereby enabling judicial officers to discharge their duties with great focus and authority. The issue of corruption would get reduced to the barest minimum.
The project adds to ongoing judicial infrastructure upgrades in the FCT, including new magistrate courts and judges' quarters. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Now, the book Soya, written by Onyi Olugbile, has emerged winner of the 2025 edition of the Nigeria Prize for Literature, clinching one of Africa's most prestigious literary honors, valued at $100,000. The announcement was made on Friday, October 10, 2025, at the Nigeria LNG Limited Grand Award Night in Lagos by the chairman of the advisory board for the prize, Professor Akachi Adimora Ezigbo, who revealed the winner out of 252 novels submitted for the NLNG-sponsored prize. Unveiling this year's winner at the Nigeria LNG Limited Grand Award Night in Lagos, the chairman of the advisory board for the prize says, and I quote, "We were impressed by the quality of the shortlisted books written by 3 writers with diverse backgrounds and experiences. The books Soya by Onyi Olugbile and The Road to the Country by Chigozie Obioma, both published by Masobe Books, as well as This Marvelous Land by Nikki May, published by Narrative Landscape, indicate an improvement in the quality of local publishing."
The evening is a deliberate and rich assemble of culture, people and intellect hosted in an atmosphere fit for the occasion. Nigeria LNG is hosting the Grand Award Nights for the 2025 Nigeria Prize for Literature, where a winner will be announced. Let's learn a bit more about the night's essence.
For over 2 decades, the Nigerian Prize for Literature and the Nigerian Prize for Science have continued to illuminate pathways from inspiration to transformation.
Before the big moment, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of LNG, Mr. Philip, in addition to highlighting the enduring influence of literature, makes a big announcement.
Next year, a new prize will join our family. This is the Nigeria Prize for Creative Arts, with a focus on documentary film, and it will be open to Nigerians aged 18 to 35.
There is a winner who will be unveiled for the Nigeria Prize for Literature, but not a winner verdict for the Prize of Science, as earlier announced, but that has got the Education Minister talking.
So tonight, as we applaud our winning writer, let us also rededicate ourselves to the broader vision. Let us commit to nurturing both science and art, to strengthening education, to investing in digital technologies, and fueling the engines of sustainable energy.
Shortly after their speeches, a verdict is about to be pronounced, and for the 3 shortlisted finalists, as they listen to the judges summarize before the eventual peak, the tension on their faces and expectation is very palpable.
The panel of judges and the advisory board have found Onyi Olugbile's Soya as astounding.
I feel happy, kind of pressured as well, because now I know that I need to put in more work to write more stories, very compelling African stories, and yeah, basically.
There is also a winner for the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism. Okudiri Anasiodu emerges and has $10,000 for his efforts.
Thank you very much.
In the final analysis, Nigeria LNG says through the Nigeria prices, it is committed to inspiring a sustainable future.
Some cherry news there. That's it from the nation's capital. It's now back to Ladi in Lagos for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Gloria. Well, to other stories now. The Department of State Services, that's DSS in Delta State, has intercepted a cache of sophisticated weapons in Asaba. The operation, which took place on October 12, 2025, within the Asaba metropolis, led to the arrest of a notorious arms dealer identified as Stephen Sabatoshi and his accomplice, a 40-year-old secondary school teacher from Taraba State. The Deputy Director of the Operations of the Delta State Command of the DSS, Mr. Anthony Femeje, while briefing Governor Sharif Aboriwari in Asaba, revealed that the suspects were part of a network trafficking small arms and light weapons from Seba in southern Libya through Chad into Nigeria via an illegal border in Gaidam, Yobe State. In his reaction, Governor Aboriwari ordered a comprehensive crackdown on criminal networks following the interception. The governor, who gave the directive, commended the agency for what he described as a major breakthrough in the state's sustained fight against insecurity. All right, let's find out the gains and losses in the markets now. Willie Bong has business.
Thank you, Ladi. I'd say more of a loss to Nigerians as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has raised the pump price of petrol to 992 naira per litre in Lagos and 955 naira in Abuja. And this hike comes as the country grapples with gas supply shortages. Now, the new prices, already in effect at several NNPCL retail stations, represent an increase of 127 naira in Lagos from 865 naira and 65 naira in Abuja from 890 naira per litre. Now, no official reason has been given for the increment. However, the adjustment marks a reversal of the price reduction implemented on August the 15th when NNPCL lowered petrol prices to 865 naira per litre in Lagos and 890 naira per litre in Abuja. Meanwhile, latest monthly oil report from OPEC shows Nigeria's crude oil output dropped to 1.39 million barrels per day in September, and the figure marks a 2.8% decline from 1.43 million barrels recorded in August. Despite the drop, OPEC says Nigeria remains Africa's top oil producer, ahead of Libya's 1.36 million barrels per day. However, the country's output still falls below its 1.5 million barrels per day quota. OPEC notes that the figures were obtained from direct communication with Nigerian authorities, while a separate report by the NUPRC puts combined crude and condensate output at 1.58 million barrels daily. Now we're checking with the domestic equities market, which opened the week with a fresh high as soaring into record high, with Ini Jamekwa bringing the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Reports. Well, the news that Dangote Cement had started operations in Côte d'Ivoire seems to be driving sentiment back here in Nigeria, because we see for like the third time since last week, it's moving the market and it's gained 10 naira because of investors' activity on a Dangote Cement closing at 585 naira. A major market mover that we noticed since intraday. Now let's look at other sectors and see what's going on there. Banking has sustained a green color, but not very impressive, 0.16%. The big guys, Accessco, First Wholesale, they contributed to that. Consumer goods also is positive at the close of trade because of Nigerian breweries up 0.23%. Oil and gas also is the only one that has a red color at the close of trade today because of Owandu and Japogo, but not so bad. 0.03% is what we see. At the close of trade today, the market gained 485 billion naira and looking close to 94 trillion naira at the close. And since early trade, we got onto that 147,000 level, and we built on that at the close of trade, 0.5% for the all share. So we start this week, Monday, on a beautiful note with the sound of the bull.
And that's business news. It's back to Ladi for more on the news at 10.
And to international news now. Simon Pusey has Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. This is the moment so many people had been waiting for. The return of 20 Israeli hostages held for over 2 years by Hamas. It marks what could be the beginning of the end of the current conflict, which has seen tens of thousands of Palestinians killed in Gaza, many of them innocent women and children. Tearful reunions that many families thought would never happen. Hundreds of Israelis had gathered in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv for hours to watch the footage unfold. Meanwhile, close to 2,000 Palestinian prisoners were also released as part of the ceasefire deal from Israeli detention. Earlier, Donald Trump addressed the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, in a speech lasting over an hour.
We gather on a day of profound joy, of soaring hope. 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still. The story of fierce Israeli resolve and triumph since October 7th should be proof to the entire world that those who seek to destroy this nation are doomed to bitter failure. The state of Israel is strong, and it will live and thrive forever.
42 Zimbabwean and Malian nationals have died after a bus taking them home overturned on a South African road. The crash happened on Sunday night as the bus was moving through a mountainous section of the N1 highway in South Africa's Limpopo province. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa mourned the high death toll, which includes 7 children, and said this was not only a tragedy for the country, but for our sister states of Zimbabwe and Malawi. The cause of the accident is unknown, but an investigation has been launched. The office of Madagascar's president has said an attempt to seize power illegally and by force is underway in the country. Hours later, an army unit known as CAPSAT claimed that it had taken over the leadership of the military command and was now in control of all armed forces. This is the same unit that played a crucial role in the 2009 Malagasy political crisis, which helped the current president rise to power. Madagascar was first hit by youth-led protests on the 25th of September against water and power cuts, but have escalated to reflect wider dissatisfaction with the government over high unemployment, corruption, and the cost of living. A huge fire has destroyed over a dozen houses in a neighborhood in Lima. No fatalities have been reported, and it's suspected the blaze was caused by an illegal pyrotechnics warehouse. Drone footage captured plumes of smoke rising from the flames as it devastated homes in San Juan de Miraflores as fireworks lit up the sky. And North Korea has unveiled its latest intercontinental ballistic missile at a military parade in Pyongyang to mark the 80th anniversary of the founding of the ruling party. Named the Hwasong 20, its size suggests that it could carry multiple nuclear warheads. The isolated state has continued to expand its nuclear arsenal in recent years, causing concern in the West and closer to home. Footage shown on North Korean state TV showed leader Kim Jong-un overseeing the parade.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Welcome to Sports News. We start with football. Coach Eric Chelle says the Super Eagles will give everything they can to secure a decent win over the Cheetahs of Benin Republic and hope for favor from Rwanda as the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying race hits the final match day on Tuesday. On the flip side, Benin Republic head coach Jonah Rohr says he has the team that can stun the Super Eagles and pick their first ever World Cup ticket. For the Super Eagles handler, he believes the Eagles will play under pressure and that could benefit his team in the encounter. And that's it on Sports News. That's where we leave it. It's back to Laddie for the conclusion of the news at 10.
Thanks, Olumde. Well, the main news again. INEC stakeholders push for diaspora voting as National Assembly conducts a public hearing on electoral reforms. And that's it on the news at 10. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Laddie Williams. Good night.